Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on orientation and onboarding and what the difference is and how you can improve the experience from just beyond giving an orientation session and making it an onboarding session. We're going to talk about a number of things today, uh, such as why do you want to pay attention to employees? Why do you want, what do you do before you hire someone? Because the onboarding process actually begins before you even uh, talk to your first candidate. What do you do during the hiring process that's going to help you retain those candidates and keep your hiring progress going along? What do you do after you do that first day orientation? Because orientation is a part of the onboarding process, and there are steps that are necessary uh, to actually onboard, or orient people and acclimate people to their job. What do you do the first week? What's the ongoing process? We're going to talk about some of the differences in various positions. We're going to talk about some of the challenges. The list goes on, and so let's just go ahead and get into that. The why. Why do you want to pay attention to people that you are trying to hire? Um, that comes from a phenomena called buyer's remorse. We've all had buyer's remorse. We've all experienced that situation where we've gone and we've made a purchase, be it a car, be it a house, be it something else, that we start thinking, wow, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And we end up regretting the fact that we have made that purchase. And in most cases, many people return that item that they have purchased and get rid of that remorse. Well, that's kind of hard to do with a job. It is comes from that concept of the why do people look for jobs? The grass is always greener on the other side. There's something they dislike about their current job. They want to move on. And then they get out there and they get this new job and they get uh, courted and they get sold what they consider to be perhaps a bill of goods. And as a result of that, a week into the job or even quicker than that or a little bit later, then they start thinking, this isn't what it was supposed to be. This isn't the promise that was made to me. And as a result of that, uh, they start thinking, I need to get out of this. I need to get into another situation. They start looking. They are unhappy. They're not productive. And there are all kinds of downsides to that buyer's remorse. It is such a common phenomena that today companies are starting to take advantage of this. And if a company loses an employee that they considered valuable, they start paying attention to where they went and what they're saying on social media. As a matter of fact, there are a number of companies that have set up Facebook pages and LinkedIn pages that are for the alumni of the company, and they have somebody that monitors that to see what people are saying, and if they get an employee who used to be a valued employee saying something like, I wish I could go back, then they get a recruiter that gets in touch with them. Or people's former coworkers who are still friends pay attention to that and reintroduce them to the company. So there are a lot of people, a lot of companies today who are taking advantage of the fact that many candidates have this buyer's remorse, that they get into a new position and they feel that it's not what they thought it was going to be, it was not what was told to them, and as a result, they want to return. And so part of the goal of having a good onboarding program is to overcome that buyer's remorse, never allow people to feel that they have been told something that wasn't true, that they shouldn't ever see a reason for leaving that and that job and becoming another ex-employee of yours. You want to make sure that they're getting what they feel that they need to have out of that process. Paying attention to your new employees is important. turnover is expensive, and there are all kinds of statistics on turnover. Um, but the one that I'm using here is that turnover costs are at usually a minimum of 20% of annual wage, and up to as much as 150, if not more, percent of annual wage, depending upon the level of the position. So if you're taking a look at a minimum wage employee, and you to do the 20%, that is going to cost you at minimum a little over $3,000 to replace that worker. And as you will see, as we get into higher level positions, get a $100,000 a year employee, it's going to cost you upwards to $150,000 to replace him. That all depends upon how quickly they turn over, and we'll talk about those numbers in a minute. What costs go into that turnover? It's the recruitment time that you put into that effort of finding that individual. It is people you contacted, recruiting agencies you used, money that was spent on ads, time that was spent on finding the person, going through the interview process, people that were involved in the interview process. All of those have a number of people spend time in the recruitment process costs a lot of money. There's the potential liability that you have that you made a bad hire, somebody comes in your door, they don't work out, and they cause a damage, they cause harm to the reputation of the organization as a result of their inability to do the job. You've got that. You've got the lost potential that these employees who have decided that they are unhappy being there, or they haven't found another position, they're not working up to their potential, or they're now being so poor in the job, they're turning customers off, and you're losing that potential of a customer that comes into your store, comes into your business, comes into your computer system, and has a disagreeable experience, and the fact that they may never darken your door again. I mean, think about it just from a simple standpoint of how many of you have gone into a fast food restaurant and got poor food or poor service, and as a result of an employee who is not engaged in what they're doing, and you determine that you're never going to walk through that door again. The lost potential of you as a customer to that company can end up over a period of a year be very expensive. So all of those things go into why turnover is so expensive and why you want to try to avoid that turnover.